I never believed in forever, until I met you, and suddenly, forever didn't feel long enough. I never thought I would stand here one day, trying to put into words what my heart has been feeling for so long. Because the truth is, some feelings are too deep for words. Some emotions are meant to be felt, not explained. But then again, you came into my life and changed everything I thought I knew. I still remember the first time I saw you. It wasn't something dramatic. There were no fireworks, no music playing in the background. Just a simple moment, but somehow, it felt different. Something inside me paused, like the world slowed down for just a second, as if it was quietly telling me, pay attention, this moment matters. And I did. I didn't know it then, but that moment would become the beginning of everything. Before you, love felt uncertain to me. It felt like something temporary, something that comes and goes. I used to believe that people change, feelings fade, and promises are easily broken. I had built walls around my heart, not because I didn't want love, but because I was afraid of losing it. But you didn't break those walls. You didn't force your way in. You simply stayed. You showed me, through your patience, your kindness, and your quiet strength, that love doesn't have to be loud to be real. That love isn't just about words, it's about presence. It's about choosing someone every single day, even when things aren't perfect. And slowly, without me even realizing it, you became my safe place. We had our moments, didn't we? Times when things weren't easy. Times when misunderstandings tried to pull us apart. When life tested us in ways we didn't expect. But somehow, no matter how hard it got, we always found our way back to each other. Because what we have isn't something ordinary. It's not just love, it's connection. It's understanding. It's knowing that even in silence, we are not alone. There came a moment, a quiet, simple moment, when I realized something that changed everything for me. I realized that when I think about my future, you are always there. Not as a possibility, not as a maybe, but as a certainty. I see your smile in my happiest days. I feel your presence in my hardest moments. I imagine building a life, not just with anyone, but only with you. And that's when it hit me. I don't want a future without you. Not because I need someone to complete me, but because life with you feels more meaningful, more real, more alive. You didn't become my everything overnight, but somehow, you became the most important part of my world. You are the person I want to share my dreams with. The one I want to laugh with, even at the smallest things. The one I want beside me when life gets tough, and when it gets beautiful. And more than anything, you are the only woman I can see myself marrying. Not because it sounds right. Not because it's expected, but because my heart chose you, long before I even understood what that meant. I don't promise a perfect life. I don't promise that there will never be challenges. But I promise this: I will stand by you. I will choose you. I will fight for us, every single day. Because loving you has been the most real thing I've ever felt. And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. No matter where life takes us, no matter how much time passes, my heart has already found its home. And that home is you. I still remember that day, even though at the time it felt like just another ordinary moment in an ordinary life. There was nothing special about the surroundings, nothing that would make anyone stop and say, this is where everything changes. And yet, somehow, it did. Because that was the moment I met you. You weren't trying to be noticed. You weren't doing anything extraordinary. But there was something about you, something calm, something genuine, that caught my attention in a way I couldn't explain. It wasn't loud or overwhelming. It was quiet, almost like a feeling that slowly made its way into my heart without asking for permission. I remember looking at you and feeling something shift inside me. Not love, not even understanding, just a strange sense of familiarity, like I had known you before, even though I hadn't. It was as if, in that very moment, the world paused just long enough for me to realize that this encounter wasn't random. We spoke, just a few simple words. Nothing deep, nothing dramatic. But even in that small conversation, there was a comfort I hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't about what we said, it was about how it felt. Easy, natural, real. I didn't walk away from that moment thinking my life had changed. I didn't realize that I had just met someone who would become so important to me. But something stayed with me. Your presence lingered in my thoughts longer than it should have. Your smile replayed in my mind in quiet moments when I was alone. Days passed, and I found myself remembering little details about you, the way you spoke, the way you listened, the way you made something as simple as a conversation feel meaningful. It was strange how someone I had just met could leave such an impact without even trying. Looking back now, I realize that moment wasn't ordinary at all. It was the beginning of something I didn't yet understand, something I couldn't yet name. It was the first step into a story that would slowly unfold, one moment at a time, drawing me closer to you without me even realizing how deeply I was already falling before you came into my life. Love was something I never fully trusted. I had seen it come and go, watched people make promises they couldn't keep, and felt how easily something beautiful could turn into something painful. To me, love was uncertain, something that looked strong from the outside but often broke when tested. So, without even realizing it, I started protecting myself from it. I told myself that it was better not to expect too much, better not to feel too deeply, better not to give someone the power to hurt me. I learned to keep my emotions guarded, to hold back instead of giving fully. And for a long time, I thought that was strength. Then you came into my life, and everything I believed about love slowly began to change. You didn't come in with big promises or dramatic words. You didn't try to prove anything. Instead, you showed me something I had never truly experienced before: consistency. You were there, not just in the happy moments, but in the quiet ones, in the ordinary days that most people overlook. You made me realize that love isn't about intensity all the time, it's about presence. With you, love didn't feel like something I had to question. I didn't feel like I had to guess where I stood or wonder if you would stay. There was a calmness in the way you cared, a quiet assurance that made me feel safe without you ever having to say it out loud. You taught me that love isn't about perfection. It's not about always getting things right or never making mistakes. It's about understanding, patience, and choosing each other even when things aren't easy. You showed me that real love doesn't disappear when things get difficult, it grows stronger through those moments. And without even realizing it, you changed me. The walls I once built so carefully started to fall, not because you forced them down, but because I no longer felt the need to hide behind them. I started to open up in ways I never had before. I started to believe in something I had once doubted. You made me see that love isn't something to fear, it's something to trust when it's real. You changed the way I feel, the way I think, the way I understand what it truly means to care for someone beyond just words or temporary emotions. Not every part of our story was easy. There were moments when things didn't go the way we expected, moments when misunderstandings created distance between us, and times when silence felt heavier than words. Loving each other wasn't always simple, and there were days when it felt like the world was quietly testing what we had. I remember the times when small disagreements turned into something bigger than they needed to be. When emotions ran high, and instead of listening, we held onto our own perspectives a little too tightly. It wasn't that we didn't care, it was that we cared so much, and sometimes that made everything feel more intense than it should have. There were also moments when life itself became difficult. Stress, responsibilities, and things outside of our control started to affect us in ways we didn't fully understand at the time. It wasn't just about us anymore, it was about everything around us trying to pull our attention, our energy, and sometimes even our patience away from each other. And yet, even in those moments, something inside us refused to give up. We didn't walk away. We didn't let those struggles define us or break what we had. Instead, slowly and sometimes painfully, we learned. We learned how to communicate better, how to listen not just to respond but to understand. We learned that being right was never more important than being together. There were times when apologies came late, when words didn't come out the way we meant them to, but we still tried. And that effort, no matter how imperfect, meant everything. Because it showed that what we had was worth fighting for. Those struggles revealed parts of us we hadn't seen before. They showed our weaknesses, our fears, and the parts of us that needed growth. But instead of turning away from those imperfections, we faced them, step by step, together. And in doing so, we became stronger. Not in a loud or obvious way, but in a quiet, steady way. The kind of strength that comes from knowing you've been through difficult moments and still chose each other. The kind of strength that doesn't need to prove anything, because it's built on something real, something tested, something that didn't break even when it could have. There wasn't a single loud moment when everything suddenly became clear. No dramatic realization, no perfect scene where time stopped and everything made sense all at once. Instead, it happened quietly, in the middle of ordinary days, in the small moments that didn't seem important at first. It started with the way I began to think about you, even when you weren't around. Not just missing you, but including you in thoughts about things that hadn't even happened yet. I would catch myself imagining the future, simple things like where I'd be, what I'd be doing, and without trying, you were always there. Not as someone passing through my life, but as someone who belonged in it. I noticed it in the little details. When something good happened, you were the first person I wanted to tell. When something went wrong, you were the one I wished was there to understand without needing an explanation. Your presence became more than comfort, it became something I relied on without even realizing it. There were moments when I would look at you, not saying anything, just observing the way you smiled, the way you existed so naturally, and I felt this quiet certainty settle inside me. It wasn't overwhelming or confusing. It was calm, steady, and real. I began to understand that what I felt wasn't temporary. It wasn't something that would fade with time or change with circumstances. It was deeper than that, something rooted in the way you had become a part of my life in ways I could never replace. I thought about all the possibilities life could bring, all the unknown paths ahead, and for the first time, instead of feeling uncertain, I felt sure. Because no matter where life would take me, the only version of that future that made sense was the one where you were beside me. It wasn't about needing someone. It wasn't about fear of being alone. It was about knowing that out of everyone in this world, you were the one I wanted to build something real with. The one I wanted to share every chapter of life with, not just the easy ones, but the difficult ones too. And somewhere within all those quiet realizations, without any announcement or explanation, my heart made a decision that I didn't even try to question. I chose you, not just for now, not just for the moments we were living in, but for everything that was yet to come. Loving you has never been about perfect words or grand gestures. It has always been about the quiet promises that grow stronger with time, the kind of promises that are not always spoken out loud, but are felt in every action, every choice, every moment we continue to stand beside each other. When I think about a lifetime with you, I don't imagine a path without challenges. I don't imagine a story where everything is easy or where we never face difficulties. Instead, I imagine something real. A life where we grow, where we learn, where we face whatever comes our way together. I promise to stand beside you, not just in the moments when everything feels right, but also in the times when things feel uncertain. When life becomes overwhelming, when doubts try to creep in, when the world feels heavier than usual, I want to be the person you can lean on without hesitation. I promise to listen, even when it's hard. To understand, even when we don't see things the same way. To choose patience over anger, and love over pride. Because I know that what we have is more important than any disagreement, any temporary emotion, or any passing moment. There will be days when we are not at our best, when we feel tired, when we struggle to express what's inside our hearts. But even in those days, I promise not to walk away. I promise to stay, to work through it, to remind you, and myself, that what we have is worth holding on to. I want to build a life with you, step by step. To create memories that we will look back on years from now, not because they were perfect, but because they were ours. I want to share the quiet mornings, the long conversations, the laughter that comes from the simplest things, and even the silence that feels comfortable because we are together. I promise to grow with you, not just as someone who loves you, but as someone who continues to learn what it truly means to be there for another person. To support your dreams, to stand by your side as you chase them, and to celebrate every moment that brings you happiness. And through all of it, through every phase of life, every change, every challenge, my promise remains simple and true. I will choose you, again and again, in ways both big and small, in moments seen and unseen, with a love that continues to deepen with time.